I'm Shannon.
We have Shannon back. Sammy is still on maternity leave, and if you're listening, Sammy, we can't wait to have you back. And then maybe Shannon will stick around and we'll do a three-way conversation.
Yes.
So we have a few oddball things to talk about because of our experience since our last podcast. Is your dog Sully having some skin issues? So we're going to talk about that later. But
yes.
Since our last podcast, I went coon hunting. So I just would share my experiences with that and get to have a good time talking about that. So I'll start with that. So growing up, I remember going quail and pheasant hunting. You have bird dogs that point the birds and then you shoot the birds when they go up in the air. So we had one older gentleman that he never carried a gun when we went quail hunting.
Really?
He would carry a camera. And I was always wondering about that till I went coon hunting.
Uh-huh.
What in the world is he doing? And it's just watching that dog work when it has a purpose is an amazing thing. Yes. And that's what he loved doing is watching them dogs work and taking pictures of them. And
what's instinctual in the dog. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting.
We got there. So, you go coon hunting at night. So I got there about 9 o'clock and he was just getting the dog ready and getting himself ready. And so you gear up and it's summer, early summer, late spring, so it's not cold at night yet now. So it was probably in the 70s. So I had a T-shirt on, and he goes, "You're going to want a long sleeve shirt," and I found out why later. So, and then he said tennis shoes ain't going to work, so he had some extra, almost like wading boots.
Wading boots, yeah.
And I found out later why that was the case. So we started out in like a little, those little 4-wheel drive ATVs.
Yes, yeah.
And he had the dog in the back, chained up. And so we drove through a pasture to the edge of the trees. And then he got the dog ready. And it has a collar on with a GPS signal. And so he has on his phone a map. And he can follow track that where the dog is. So he let the dog out. And the dog went off in the woods. And we just kind of sat there shooting the breeze for about 20 minutes.
Right.
And ever so often that dog would bay. And he says, "Oh, he's picked up a track." And so he's spouting out all these terms. And I'm like, you're talking Greek to me.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
A track and then a hot track. And then he called it a train bark or something. So that he could tell by the bark what was going on. So if they're just tracking, they picked up the scent of it.
Right.
But he's not on a hot track. That's where they're following the scent. So once they get the hot track, they let out a different bark, and it's getting close to being treed. And then eventually it starts barking a little differently. I couldn't tell any different.
You couldn't, yeah.
And he looks at the GPS, says, "Okay, we're 600 yards into the woods. You ready?" So it took us probably, I'm going to guess, you're just huffing it through the woods.
Right.
But we were going under barbed wire fences. We were going over creeks and brambles and you name it.
Yes.
I got a big old, you can still see it a little bit, a big old scratch down the inside of my arm, and I wish that I had that long sleeve shirt on.
Right. Now we know why you needed
and
wading
boots. And I was sweating and
yeah.
Oh my goodness. So it definitely is good exercise.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. So we finally got to where he was, and he was on a tree. It was this tree was probably 80 feet up in the air and about, you couldn't have put your arms around it. Just gigantic tree. And we never could spot that coon at that tree. But you shine the light up in all the leaves, but it was so far up, we never did actually see. But he could tell that there actually was one. And apparently there's competitions almost every other weekend where he said you can win $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 at these things.
See, I had no idea. I'd never heard of coon. I mean, I think I'd heard of coon hunting, but didn't really know what it was until.
And I guess some people probably would shoot them, but would you just tree him? And then he pulled the dog off, put it on the leash. We walked completely out of the woods, and then he let him go again.
He let him go.
And the first time it took a long time for him to get a scent. The second time it was probably about 5-10 minutes, and he already had another one treed, and we actually got to see that one because it wasn't near as tall a tree. And
was it further into the?
No, thank the Lord, it was only like about 120 yards into the woods this time. But man, that was definitely New adventure for me. The only downside I have was that the next day I was just like worn out, groggy, and
because
I didn't get home. I got home. We started at about 9:15, and I left their house at 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And I got home about 2:15 or so. And I couldn't go right back to sleep because I'd been hoofing it through the woods. I was all sweaty, and I had, of course, had to take a shower and all that. Yeah. And then by that time, I was like, okay, I was supposed to be going to sleep, but I don't want to or can't. So it took me about 30 minutes to just kind of wind down, and it was probably 3:30 or so before I got to sleep. So the next day I was worn out, but it was amazing watching that dog, especially when it had it treed. It's sitting there with its front paws up on that trunk and just baying like.
Well, and it makes me wonder, obviously it is a coon dog, but how much training does it take?
Well, I think it's not necessarily for them to, it's either, he said he's had dogs over the years, and some of them just have that instinct.
Right.
And others don't. And that part of the training is not necessarily the training. You train them for when to call them off the trees. They will listen to you.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mainly obedience for when you want them to come. He said that this dog he was cussing at it the other day because he had to chase it like 4 miles to you knew where it was at, but it would never come.
Because the instincts in that dog are so strong.
Following that scent.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes more sense to have to train it, train it to do the opposite of what his instincts are telling him to do. Yeah.
So he said, if you got a good one, you can actually earn quite a bit of money. I was like, who knew? Yeah.
You just have to practice in the middle of the night.
And that brings me to the beagles. They apparently have similar things with rabbits.
Really? I did not know that.
They have them rabbits do their run, and then the dogs follow they have rabbit trials, and they follow that scent back to the burrows, and you get so many points for how quickly, under a certain amount of time, and you get points for that, and then they're called field trials. And so I thought them dog day would just be in heaven.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I didn't realize beagles were
rabbit hunters.
Rabbit hunters. Mm-hmm. So you've got 2 of those.
Yeah, we got 2 of those, and we got 2 duck hunting dogs.
Yes.
So I want to get them more in that element just because they're in hog heaven.
Yes, and it would really wear them out too if they're able to get into their environment.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so they're all these. He was trying to explain it to me, like how they do the points. It was so complex how they keep track of the points and who wins. And I go, if you're all out in the, how do they know?
How do they know?
And he says it's just an honor system kind of thing.
Wow. And
they have spotters that go, oh yeah, that's up in the tree, and that counts as however many points or whatever. And you can host, like if you have property, and you can host a coon hunt.
That's what I was going to ask. Or are they just in different locations and different?
He said he's gone to Arkansas and Tennessee and kind of all over.
Wow. Something
the whole
for
other
everybody.
world out there, yeah. And so that's all I had on that. That was maybe a while before I go again, just because I was so worn out for like 2 days.
Yes,
but I enjoyed it. I didn't know what to think beforehand, but it was actually a good time. Talk about exercise, man.
Yeah, it's like middle of the night exercise.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay, so one of the things we wanted to discuss was dog skin problems, just because it was front and center for you.
Yes. I mean, ironically, since we did our last podcast, I have a 3.5-year-old golden doodle, or almost 3.5, never had any skin issues, allergies at all. And I noticed over the Memorial Day weekend, he of course, when the veterinarian was closed, he was continuously itching or chewing at his hip and his stomach area, and even noticed a scab or 2 on the back of his neck. And he was just rubbing it raw. So we had to go on this past Tuesday and do a cortisone shot, a laser treatment, and I hated to do it, but he's on a week's long dose of antibiotics. Yeah.
So we talked offline before about what to do after the fact, but I'll just chime in about that. So when you take antibiotics, you're destroying good and bad bacteria. Good bacteria in the gut helped with digestion and overall health. So you want to replace those. So grass-fed, as natural as possible yogurt, no added flavors, just plain, will help restore that probiotics in the gut. So,
and I didn't hear you say, is it a particular amount for the weight of a dog, or just like
a spoonful? Pull that. I read it in the article that we're going to discuss next after this.
Okay.
When we get to that point, I'll look and see.
Okay.
I didn't remember seeing that, but we'll see what it says.
Okay.
But so we're going over skin problems, and one they have is itchy skin. So I have a lab, 6'7" now, and she has where she would just scratch, and so we just kind of, man, she's just really miserable. Mm-hmm. And so we started with diet change. So that kind of got me rolling on this natural food and like raw food, and just kind of got me, I was just feeding higher quality kibble food, and she was the only dog we had, so I started experimenting with fresh food, and that made a huge difference. And then of course I make sure her atlas is clear, because that the brainstem sits right there. So if that atlas is the top bone in your neck, so if it's off, it affects how your brain and body communicate, and so your body can't function as well. One of the jobs of your body is to heal anywhere, but skin too. So if that area is not clear, over time you can develop issues. And so those two changes right there made a huge difference for our dog.
Yeah. And that was the first thing you told me to do. And ironically, I was doing kind of what you said before, like a higher quality kibble, dry dog food that said all natural. It wasn't cheap. But you mentioned doing the fresh pet. So we have since changed to that. And then after the antibiotics, I'll add the yogurt. Yeah,
great. And then it should make a difference. So it talks about the different things that go wrong with skin. Itchy skin, it's called atopic dermatitis. And if they have real itchy skin where they're scratching, they can rub it raw, and then that creates more problems. Typically, they say it's environmental allergens that cause the problem, mold, dust mites. So just make sure your house is clean and free of all that. And but if it's still there, it's probably a diet thing. Talks about safe natural. I'm reading an article from Karen Becker. She likes to use safe natural things first. Rather than going the drug route first. Right. Sometimes you have to, but...
I know I hated to do that, but...
And then the next thing it talks about is hot spots. They say they're infections in the skin that develop usually from low immunity, like imbalanced immune systems. So, again, what we talked about earlier will help with that.
Right.
Getting a diet change and adjusting their atlas. Find a animal chiropractor near you and get that done, and that will help. More often baths with a good natural shampoo. Organic shampoo will help with those. Let's see. You're just kind of reading along with me, aren't you?
Yes, I was. The other thing I noticed that they were talking about, and I may be skipping ahead, but if your dog has dry skin or flaky skin, that it might be a sign that they need some sort of an oil, like a natural fish oil. Yeah. And she mentions krill oil in here, which I thought that was it's like an omega-3, because she said it could be an omega-3 deficiency in their bodies.
And I started adding, I buy, and it lasts a long time, like a salmon oil from Chewy.com is where I get it. Okay. And I just, it's squeeze like a liquid and just squeeze it on their food. And I mean, like I'm doing like several different things, so I'm not 100% sure. Which I think it's probably a combination of all of them. Right. But I do that on her food.
I was definitely going to start that. And I think I said this to you earlier. I still question whether we had some fertilizer put on our yard.
It's this time of year. We're in the spring, and even if you're not spraying, the odds are your neighbor is. So you just got to kind of be aware of that. Because I was walking the dogs last week and this week, and
Mhm.
you're just walking along, and all of a sudden that smell.
Oh,
hits
it'll
you.
hit you, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
so-
we've had so much rain, and
Yeah.
I just feel like
100-year flood rains.
Yes.
Yes.
so everything's extra moist, and
Yeah.
it hasn't dried up and gone away.
And then they talk about mange, which is you usually see it on like malnourished
Right.
dogs, or that their immune system's weak.
Yes.
And that's it can transfer to other animals. So
I
you
never
just
knew
gotta,
that till I read this. Yeah.
Yeah. They usually dip them
Yes.
with the high power insecticides. We actually had years ago someone gave us a Dalmatian that they weren't taking the best care of, and it had mange.
Aw.
And so, this is a funny story. So we took it, and back then we didn't know any better. We'd probably try more natural things, but we
Holistic,
dipped them and got them fed. She was
Right.
skin and bones,
Aw.
and just kind of nursed her back. And over 2 or 3 months, her hair started growing back, and she stopped itching because it was like patches of
Patches
it looked
of
like a
skin.
scab,
Right.
and then it would ooze, and it was pretty nasty.
Yes. Yes.
But we babied her and
Right.
got her back. She was 100% healthy and had energy back because she was just like, whoa. And then ran across those people, and they say, "Hey, our dog looks great. We want to take her back." I'm like, overnight dead body.
Oh my goodness,
I'm
you were
like, you
kidding
gotta
me.
be kidding me. Yeah, I was like,
Can't even take care of it, and you want her back now.
yeah, and it's like, no.
Oh my goodness.
And her name was Sasha, and she was the sweetest dog.
Oh, I love Dalmatians.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
the way they look. They're
Yeah.
so cute.
She was like very skittish. So
She
I'm
just was
afraid she was.
mistreated.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
she was either verbally or physically
Right.
abused, and just like the cojones on some people. I'm like, no, you're not taking that dog back.
No. That.
So yeah, skin is. I think these issues are pretty common with dogs.
Well, yeah, and I mentioned, I think the time before,
Not
I
necessarily
had
the mange, but like itchy skin.
itchy
and,
skin, and I had a Bichon that we had to have put to sleep. I mean, he was 17 last summer, but I wish so much I'd had all this information when he was alive, because
Yeah.
he was just one big scab half the time
yeah.
because he had so many skin allergies.
Yeah.
And really, by the time, and I know dogs' hair probably thin out anyway as they get older, but his hair wasn't even the same. You
Yeah.
know, he wasn't the same dog when we had to put him down, but always was miserable with the skin allergies.
Yeah, our Molly is her name, the one I was talking about earlier that had all this itchy skin problems. We have to take her collar off every night because you have the tags on there.
Yes.
And it sounds like Santa Claus is landing.
Oh,
Jing, jing, jing,
that's
jing,
so
jing.
true. Yes,
Like
when
over
they're
and over and
itching.
over again all
Yeah.
night long, and we're like, ugh.
So now she's just done doing
Every once in a while she'll scratch, but
Yeah. Every dog does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But no, it's not like constant itching.
See,
And she'll used to rub up against stuff and roll on her back constantly,
Right.
trying to.
relieve the pain,
No,
the itch.
She's good.
See, that's
She
an
did
amazing
awesome.
testimony, truthfully.
Yeah, and it was a combination of I'm a chiropractor, so I adjust people all the time,
Mhm.
and it just dawned on me one day. She's got itchy. I mean, I've seen this in my practice all the
Yes.
time, and I'm like, why can't I just adjust her
There's so much like
and then change her
humans.
nutrition and see what happens? And that's what we did, and she did great.
Great results.
So, and then I have another article that ties in with that about things you should have in your kitchen that are natural remedies. Obviously, in the article that makes a good point about this is if you're unsure in any way, take them to the vet. But if there's little things, minor ailments that you make them more comfortable at home, I'm just going to go through the list here. Let's see. Vitamin E oil is an antioxidant for skin, dry, itchy skin. Massage it into their skin and their fur. And if they're a light white fur,
Right.
they're more exposed to the sun.
Yes.
So it says it'll help protect against UV radiation. Chamomile tea helps calm them down. It says before you take them to a vet if they get anxious.
Let him drink chamomile, or
Let's see what
how
it
do you
says
do
here.
that?
It's an antioxidant, antimicrobial, antidepressant, anti-inflammatory, useful for soothing GI disorders. you can let her lap up some cooled chamomile tea to calm an upset stomach.
That
You
is
can add it to your dog's food, or if you have them, you can have them put a few tea bags in bone broth.
That's an
And then
excellent
have them
idea.
drink it.
Yeah. I was even thinking when you're saying that, like so many dogs that have anxiety with storms,
Yeah.
maybe if you know that's coming,
Right.
you can.
Add it to a spray bottle and spritz it onto irritated skin.
Oh, wow.
I've never tried it, but
No.
heck,
Sounds
worth a try.
Mm-hmm.
The next one's yogurt. We talked about that. It's plain yogurt, ideally raw and grass-fed. Help balance the dog's microbiome, boost their overall health, alleviate stress and anxiety, and it doesn't say how much.
Okay.
So I guess just kind of
probably,
play with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably a whole thing would be too much.
Yes.
but-
Maybe just a spoonful every time you feed them or something.
And you can
Yeah.
adjust it up or down
Right.
if you needed to. It says the next thing you should have is Epsom salts, swollen joints, dry itchy skin, soak it in the bath, 1 cup per gallon of water. Don't let them drink the water. It says.
Right. Yeah.
Soak a washcloth in Epsom salts and then put it on a problem skin area.
Oh, that's an excellent idea.
Yeah. And then the next one is coconut oil. We use this a lot at home for the kids. And I'm like, duh. Use it for the dogs too. They can eat it. But also then skin or any wounds or like bites, like flea bites
Right.
or mosquito bites.
Well, that brings up another point. One of my friends was just telling me the other day that she actually would put like a tablespoon of coconut oil in her dog's food for his skin. And I hadn't talked to her prior to my dog having the skin issue, but I was like, and that's something most of us have around our house.
Oh yeah, we use it to cook with.
Yeah.
So yeah, we buy it in bulk.
We do too.
And then you can also use it as a carrier oil for like any essential oils you want to put on them, which that's what she talks about next is essential oils. Let's see, which ones does she like? She likes lavender. I've used that on. We have beagle puppies, and one of them just has a little trouble going to sleep at night. And Sammy said, "Hey, put lavender on their ears."
Right?
And it worked for about 3 weeks, and then it kind of, I guess, lost its effect because she'll still she whines a little bit.
Yeah.
But we got it where if she whines in her crate. And we figured out, no, she's been let out to go do her business.
Right.
If you just ignore her, she'll stop.
Eventually grow out of it.
She'll whine for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then she goes, she'll realize nobody's going to get me out of here.
Coming for me.
So, but yeah, it worked great for a while. And I guess it's just calming. And oregano oil, it says, is antibacterial and antiparasitic. Diluted oregano oil can be used to clean the ears. And calm itchy skin. There's that skin again. Yeah. Lots of different options for the skin. Next thing it says to have around, which we all have this, hydrogen peroxide, baking soda, and dish soap.
And dish soap.
Then to see what they're talking about. If your dog gets sprayed by a skunk, 1 quart of hydrogen peroxide, a 1/4 cup baking soda, and 2 teaspoons liquid dish soap. If you have a very large dog, double or triple the recipe and apply it to the dog's dry fur, lather up, and rub in for about 5 minutes. Then rinse and repeat. So if they get sprayed by a skunk.
Hopefully that does not happen.
Yeah, me too, yeah. Licorice root. I've never heard of it. It contains, holy cow, I can't pronounce this, glycyrrhizin, natural anti-inflammatory for skin again. Can be used as a salve for psoriasis, eczema, flea bite allergies, and other sources of itching.
Okay, I didn't know that because I've heard of licorice root for your intestines.
Yeah.
For in our detox tea, there's licorice root.
Let's see what it says here.
That's interesting.
Also benefits liver health and immune system function, and GI, certain gastrointestinal issues. So I guess it's the same for dogs as it is humans. It says 12 to 20 drops per 20 pounds of body weight. So
okay.
Ginger, So nausea, vomiting, or upset stomach. Ginger oil can be massaged onto your pet's stomach, or feed small amounts of fresh ginger for digestive things.
Everything's almost just the same as it is for people.
Yeah. There's certain ones that you don't want to overdo it on, and my understanding is garlic and ginger you got to just
need 2 of them.
Moderate that, not too much. Manuka honey is the next one. We've used that for our kids. Like if they get a cut or a scratch, it'll help things heal up faster.
And I take tablespoons of it sometimes too for my digestion.
So it says Manuka honey for the hot spots.
I didn't know that. So, okay.
Applying some medical grade Manuka honey. I didn't know there was a difference.
I didn't either. And then I always think, okay, that's great, but how do you get it out of their
it's
their
sticky.
hair? It's so sticky.
Can eradicate. I guess you have to give them a bath after.
Yeah.
Can eradicate hundreds of strains of bacteria, including certain antibiotic resistance varieties. So, and for wound healing.
Okay.
So that's what it just has a bunch of different things you can have on hand to take care of your pups.
And again, a lot of it is stuff we already have on hand.
Right.
So it's just so much information
out
there.
It's overload, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's been hidden too, I think.
That's what I like this podcast is that I'm learning all along. This isn't an expert podcast. And so there's a ton of information out there. And if you tried to learn it all at once, you'd be basically a vet.
Yes, so, you don't know which direction to go with it.
But. And then with training and stuff, we got some more information next week about some things I've been learning about training. So
I don't think we can ever have too much on training.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we'll get in a preview. It says even if they're really you got everything nailed, you keep working 5 to 10 minutes a day. Just to keep them sharp.
Just to keep them sharp.
Yeah,
okay.
And they will just. It's just like us. If you do something over and over again, eventually you get it down cold.
Right.
And then when you get it down cold, you just keep doing it.
Well, makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, that's for next time. But
I'm going to try some of these things, and I'll have to report back.
Yeah, definitely let us know how everything goes. Because, like I said, we used to have some trouble with the itchy skin, but not so much anymore. So.
Well, when I left the doctor the other day, he said, "Well, we'll just see because they can, develop allergies now at this age." And I'm no, we're not developing allergies, and we're not going on allergy medicine for the dog.
No. So, anything else or?
No, I think that's great. I'm excited about all this information and getting to try a few new things.
Of course, we'll link all these articles that we went over on the show notes for the podcast. So we'll be checking out and spend some time with your pups. Sign off.
Bye.
See you later.